Sandra all the time is here with a cold heart true. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. We always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, calling Sandra.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. righty, folks. Happy Tuesday. Good morning. We've got a full open mic discussion today. And of course, we need to review all of the things that happened on yesterday. So we don't have a regular guest in the studio today. They're going to come a little bit later on in the week. So let me take this opportunity now to just grab some links, kind of running around like a mad person today. Lots. Oops, there we go. Lots going on. So let me get on it. Yes, honey child. Oh, I had a big tummy ache last night. Can I just tell you? I think I've expressed to some of you before. This might be TMI, but I do have what's called IBS, and it can be triggered by a lot of things. It's triggered by foods. So I do know that certain foods I need to stay away from. You guys know how that works. Doesn't always happen. Spicy foods in particular, I really try not to do. But it's not even that. Sometimes dairy will upset my stomach tremendously. And like I can't mix my foods, so I have to be very, very careful. Like if I go to a food festival, some of you can go to a food festival and you can literally eat anything your little heart desires. I have to watch it. Like if I mix too many different things, my stomach is not going to like it at all. And it's going to be like, irks, pump the brakes on that idea. So I try to be mindful of that because, it kind of like just drains me and it's not pleasant what I have to deal with. So yesterday, last night, I had an episode and it was just like, I just need to go to bed. I couldn't do anything more. I was like, listen, I'm going to bed. Just leave me alone. I need to sleep. I need to rest. And so thankfully, Marlon understands that when I get like that, it's like, all right, just, she just needs to deal with that situation. And the unfortunate thing is what it means is if I'm not careful over the next couple of days, it can last like for days on end. So for me to get it under control, what I will now do over the next 24 to 48 hours is just be very bland with my diet. And that is actually the best thing. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I will just eat bland things for the next couple days. And hopefully it'll be okay. All right. And I've also experienced where it just comes on. I don't often get a lot of warning. So I do walk with, if you know me, I normally always have a Pepto-Bismol they've got the chewables now, which are actually pretty good. And so I tend to just walk with those as well. And, sometimes I got to just pump one in and just suck on it for a bit and try to have my stomach get settled. It's not to the point where I feel like I need to be in any kind of permanent medication. Like I don't really want to do that option, to be honest. So, anywho, there we go. So we all got something in life that we struggle with health wise. And I'm still so incredibly fortunate. I feel fortunate that if that's, one of the few things that plagues me, that and my feet, I think I'll be all right. Yeah. How's everybody doing? Post-election nomination day. Oh my gosh. Very, very interesting developments, of course. Some were expected and some were not so expected. So this is where now I guess we need to talk about what went on during yesterday's nomination day. Wow. So good morning to one and good morning to all. So nice to have you guys here. Good morning, Sandra Miller, joining us from Windsor Park. She's the caller yesterday. He was like, oh my God, I hate your voice, but I love your show. Oh, you got to take these things in stride, folks. Some of you I saw some of y'all getting in your feelings. And I had to laugh and I was kind of like, y'all don't need to get upset about this. This is nothing to take on. Even if she said she didn't like the show, I'd be like, but you're here listening. Because there's some people who will say that and they're still listening. And I'm like, girl, please, bye. Bye, Felicia. But I know Sandra and I know exactly, I guess I know how she could potentially be feeling. I mean, I don't know. I don't hear my voice, obviously, in the same way that you guys do. Is it that bad? OMG. But let me tell you something in life, if you want to get anywhere, I don't care what it is that you're doing. I'm going to make some recommendations. And I know that we have talked about this before, which is essentially, you can't get fixated on what people think about you. That will be to your detriment. That will be your undoing. You have got to, let it go and invest a couple dollars in a book like this. The First Rule of Mastery. Stop worrying about what people think of you. Honey child. This is where it's at. There's this one and another good one that I was telling you guys about that's along the same theme. You gotta just, as they said in Frozen, let it go. Let it go. You can't worry about it. It sounds simple enough, and I know obviously that it isn't. I'm very, very cognizant for some of you. You are fixated on what people think about you, how people feel about you, and all that good stuff. And I'm not so much so. And I'm trying to think if there was a time really in my life where I ever was. I have to think very hard because it would have been a really, really long time ago. And I think that some of us are just built a little bit differently. Yeah, I mean, I can't, it's a luxury for people to be able to get in my head. That space is very, very limited. And as a result of that, I try to ensure that it is reserved for people that I really care probably deeply about. And I'm not saying I don't care deeply about you guys, generally speaking, but not on that level. So no, I'm going to be honest with you. You're not going to be in the top 5 where I'm going to be like, oh my God, I'm really worried about what Danny Boo all the way in East End has to think about me. Who cares? That's how you got to flex sometimes. Now, if you're in the political arena, you better care about what people think because it's a popularity contest. And that's what gets you elected. And maybe that's another reason why, on further reflection, I am really not cut out for the world of politics. Because quite frankly, I probably wouldn't care as much as I should about what the average person thought about me. And it is a popularity contest. And so knowing that, I think that it becomes important for you as candidates and others to care. That's why we do these polls, where you get a feeling for whether or not people are going to vote for you. How much they're concerned about you, sort of thing. And so that is important. And if you don't care, I would say that it just maybe politics isn't for you. Because I know of some people who say, I don't care what people think, but yet they're running for political office. I'm like, if you really feel that way, but sometimes that's a mechanism. We say that because, sorry, I got to take my low blood pressure tablet. Forgot to take it last night because, like I said, I just passed out. Yeah, but if you really don't care, this is what I say to people, that it's imperative that you have to know your own personality type. You have to know kind of what you're all about, and then make decisions based on that. To the number 1 rule, to thine own self be true, right? So in other words, you got to be you. You can't be anybody else. And the second rule really is you have to know what matters to you. It's important. And that's how you can gauge your life, right? So I've always been community minded. I think that thankfully, having grown up in the States, actually, that was really ingrained in me from a very, very young age, both in church. We did a lot of church activities. Obviously, my aunt was a big time, churchgoer and Christian lady, and she laid a good foundation with those things. And then also even in my schools, I mean, from a very young age, we did volunteer work, helping the less fortunate. In high school, they integrated the ability for us to get involved in the community. So even if we came from families and neighborhoods that were not that committed to community service, they ensured that we could pick during school hours certain programs to get involved in. So I first learned CPR in high school, and this was a public high school. My aunt she didn't have money well, I shouldn't really say that. I think she was okay financially. It's not like she was poor or anything, but she wasn't out there sending me to a private school. I went to a Chamberlain High School right there in Florida, and we had access to what I still thought was really good education back in the day. Let me see if I can grab this call. Good morning, caller. For some reason, I can't hear you. Hello, caller. I'm not on where? I'm definitely on computer because I got 328 people watching me plus Instagram. And I should be on radio. I haven't heard anybody else complain about radio yet.
Not a thing about you on radio.
Are you 100% sure about that?
Yeah, because I keep the radio on you all the time.
All right, hold on one second. Let me just check the radio feed. I'm suspicious because I haven't heard anybody else complain about it. So hold on one second. Let me just see.
Maybe they're waiting like me.
Yes. Radio is a problem. All right, let me try to figure out what's going on with the radio. And but we're definitely on social.
I'll try the computer again. Okay.
All right, darling, no problem. Thanks for letting me know too. I noticed I gotta restart this phone because I'm not connecting through the board. All right, let's play some music so we can get radio going. Just give me one quick second. That's weird though, because wasn't I playing Beloved Isle came on Forever and a Day? All right, let's do it again. All right, folks, welcome back. I was trying to get the radio sorted. I have no idea. Apparently, this AI thing doesn't really like me, I suspect, because, the human beings are telling me I'm coming in too low, and yet I'm coming in hot, where my meters are actually in the red, according to, all the systems I have here. So I have no idea what's going on. This is the tech part that I cannot get figured out. And it seems very, very sporadic because normally I'm not the one who's coming in low. It's like my guests that are coming in low now, it's claiming that I was coming in too low. And so the system was simply not picking me up. And then it has this automated thing where it throws some other program on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping when I get my own station up and running that we don't have these issues. I mean, I don't know what exactly causes it, but I think we need to do, I shouldn't have to come in the studio every day and adjust things and adjust sliders and all this kind of stuff. It should just be set. Like God knows I don't, I try not to touch any buttons once it's working. So I'm not messing with it. So what's going on? Anyway, where were we? Right. So I was just telling y'all to be yourself, be happy with yourself. Ultimately, it's your life and you've got to make your own decisions. Yesterday was a super interesting day. First of all, one of these days, we're going to have this discussion about alcohol because the more we're beginning to know about alcohol, the more we are realizing that it's not really all that great for you. In fact, it's not even about being great for you. It's really bad for you. Something else I saw this morning that got me to thinking, oh my God, we need to have that discussion. For those of you who love to drink, you got to rein it in, man. It's not good. The research is coming in that very, very concerning stuff. Looks like we got to put in the same category smoking now. Anywho, I know enough of you don't want to hear it. Where's my Hennessy bottle this morning? The unopened bottle. All right. Thank you, one, and thank you all. So let's talk about yesterday. Surprises? Yes, one or two. Number one, it looks like Patricia Bryan might have been listening to the show. I can't block her on radio, so maybe she was listening on radio because she dropped out of the race. And I want to thank her for that. It takes a degree of realization. Somebody said, good morning, Sister Julie. Goozoom, hexing you. Lord have mercy. Yes, so, it's one of those things where the writing was definitely on the wall. And well, what can I say? Except she made the correct decision. And I can't, I don't know what else to say except she made the right decision. She saved her $1,000. And it's not just $1,000 that you give to get nominated. Presumably these people would be having meetings and all this other stuff. And some people just don't have the finances to run a campaign. And that's why they rely on parties, because they want to run and they don't have the finances and they figure the parties are going to finance it. I must tell you that one of the interesting things about that is, in my mind, if you are a person who is deciding to run for political office, whether you're an incumbent or you are, a newcomer to the game, you've got to think about the finances of it all. You have got to take the time to figure out exactly how much it's going to cost, price out equipment, because every meeting that you have, you need to have a meeting budget. What's it going to cost for you to rent the sound guy for a couple hours? Does he come with everything you need? Some do. Some will have all the sound equipment, the lights, the podium, like everything that you need. Some of you are doing it more on a budget, like you've bought a wireless system, you've bought your own speakers and whatever, because if you're going to have more than one meeting, and especially if you're having these yard meetings, you don't necessarily need anything entirely complicated necessarily, and more people are doing the yard meetings now as opposed to the big meetings, which will cost you more, but you still have to have a food budget for your meetings because, hello, we're Caymanians. We expect you to at least make a couple corned beef sandwiches for us now. So, you got to have sandwiches and wings and a few other little things. Some people kind of go all out with the food. By the way, big shout out to Jewel. She had a nice little food spread variety wise. So she had fruit and she had wing platters, sandwiches. It was good. Some people are just doing sandwiches. They're like, hey, this is just a little snack. I'm not here to feed people, but you know how it is. You got to have these things. You got to have chairs, and most people have to rent the chairs. So you've got to be able to sit down and figure out what it is that you need to run a campaign. Some of you are just not capable. And let me say this, if you're not capable of organizing a community meeting and getting these things together and figuring out what your budget is and what you're going to need and whatever, don't run for political office. Do us, the people in the Cayman Islands, a huge favor. Do yourself a huge favor. You're just not ready, because that's the minimum that you're going to have to do when you get in as an MP, right? You should know and understand finance and budgeting. And this is where I go back to this concept that unqualified people who bring nothing to the table should not be running for political office. And, there are people who are like, well, Sandy, how do you get experience? Go out in the real world, right? You know how you get budgeting experience? You go out there and you have a business where you have to budget. You budget or you fail. You have a household budget. You take budgeting courses. You become a CPA so you understand finance. You know how to read the basics of a spreadsheet document, a financial report. There are certain things that you've got to understand, because that's why when they go into the Legislative Assembly, or now Parliament, my apologies, they go in there and overspend because those people themselves have never had to live within a budget. They don't even understand the concept. So, folks, let's do a better job of electing people with the necessary qualifications. It's a job, okay? Being nice, yeah, okay. That's all the way down at the totem pole. Where's my list, Elizabeth, of the things that we talked about that we want in people? And so I keep hearing this rhetoric that, okay, we are going to have to choose between people who are principled and people who are qualified. No. Is it that difficult to find professionals who are both qualified and principled individuals? My God, if it is, I dare say that we have got some serious problems. Yeah, I'm just saying we need to make some adjustments along the way. But it's detrimental to us as a country when we put people in there who prioritize, for example, going and buying SUV Tahoes and stuff like that over when they collectively think about that's $100,000 per vehicle. Where could that money have better been spent to help the people of this country? Driving up and down in a depreciating asset, because that's what a vehicle is, right? That costs $100,000 when you got all these other priorities as a country makes 0 sense. And you only do that when your ego is bigger than your understanding of what this country needs and fiscal restraint. When you elect people who have, and I'm not trying to knock, God knows where I come from, we're not knocking poor people. But when you elect poor people into public office, one of the things you risk doing is that those people have themselves never had anything. So the second they get their little hands on a government budget, they're spending it like it's their own money. Why you need to drive around in a Tahoe? Where in the world? I see people come in and they go like, oh, your government officials driving around in a Tahoe? And I'm like, yeah. Wow. What was their personal vehicle before? Oh, they were buying used cars because they couldn't afford it. You see, they get in there and all of a sudden with that position comes, they think, certain rights and opportunities. And now they want to be driving around living large. And it's like, are you serious? You can't be serious. That is the downside of it. And, I listen to the rhetoric, I do. And I hear the things that they say. And so I chuckle at them when they try to divide themselves, because, this is where it's to their advantage to try to pick on people. For example, like a Ween Panton. When they say, oh, but he's rich, he don't understand us, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's analyze this for just a brief second, right? He was born like the rest of us in Newlands, got two working class parents. He didn't come from anybody special in terms of no millionaires, no silver spoon in their mouth, blah, blah, blah. In fact, the only reason he got to go to law school is because somebody else saw him, one of the partners, I think the head guy that used to be over at Walker's, and said, hey, kid, I kind of like you. You ever thought about law? And he was like, not really. I wanted to do environmental sciences because he was all into the environment his entire life. He loved going out fishing. He loved nature. And they were like, not no jobs in Cayman for that, but we can give you a full scholarship to law school. And he's like, okay. And he took advantage of it. So that's kind of where he got started, right? And eventually he had the opportunity to become partner. And yes, now he's a success. I'm not begrudging any Caymanian who's a success. And when they have to point to someone who is successful in life in their own right, in their own professional right, number one, because they're not successful. And number two, because they've also not learned along the way the required restraints. You notice that when this man was in office, speaking about Mr. Ween Panton now, right? He didn't even want to drive the government vehicle. He preferred to use his own vehicle, which he's paying for. Government's not paying for it. He didn't even want the driver. He's like, nope, I'll drive myself. In fact, he was driving the driver. And I'd be like, why are you driving the driver? Oh, I'm good. And the driver just sat there and laughed because he had gotten used to it at that point. He's like, yeah, boy, Mr. Ween, he just drives me around like driving Miss Daisy, because he doesn't care about that stuff. That stuff doesn't excite him. He can afford his own electric vehicle. But it's funny because then they try to twist that and make that a bad thing. Like, oh, he can afford driving around electric vehicles. So that's his money. It's not the government's money that he spent on an electric vehicle. It is his own money that he spent. And he's trying to be more environmentally friendly. And he doesn't want to waste government gas and resources and whatever. He had the political office. I don't know if he's still doing it, but I can tell you for the first 3 years that he was there, he wasn't taking the government money for that. He's paying his own rent. He's paying his own staff. And I said to him, I mean, I guess on the one hand, you can understand, but if the budget is there, should you not use it? He's like, nope, he's not doing that. We need to really think. And the whole financial aspect of your candidates is important. Look at your candidates now and ask yourselves, because it comes down to this fundamental issue. Do they need this job? Or is this a question of them wanting the job to serve the people of the Cayman Islands? They're all going to tell you the latter. But look at their finances, because I'm telling you, there are people who struggle to run a campaign because they have $0. And that includes incumbents. I'm not just talking about newcomers. And I think to myself, how the hell you been in office for 4 years and you didn't know that you were going to run again in the next election? Even if over 4 years you put down a little $1,000 a month to go towards your campaign funding, you would have enough money to run a decent campaign. And the fact that they have not done that really demonstrates to me that somebody is out of their league when it comes to managing or mismanaging their own finances. They have to go to donors and beg people money because they have not saved a single dollar towards this objective. I'm flabbergasted. And I do think that it says a lot about these individuals. So if you need the money, yeah, well, we're going to have a problem. That's what a lot of people say, Sandy, why don't you recommend we all push for a cut in those MP salaries and then see who gonna be still stand up there saying that they want the position. And that's why some of them, the second they get out of political office, although they're now getting 3 months severance pay thanks to the progressive government, they voted that in. They'll get a 3 month severance pay if they're not voted in or if they decide not to run. Again, for whatever term they were coming up for. Interestingly enough, I don't know if anyone thought about this, but both Barbara, although she's blaming me for the reason why she's not running, and David decided not to run after 2 terms. You know why? because now they are pensionable as an MP. So they get that pension money every single month. Can somebody remind me what the pension is? I think it's 2/3 equivalent. Right? Anywho, what a hot mess. But we really have to, and let me clarify something here. I'm actually not a proponent of cutting the salary, because I think that what ends up happening is we cut the salary and then that motivates people to take things under the table a little bit more. So, you got to kind of balance it, right? So I don't advocate cutting the salary. What I advocate is we look at the individual candidates and we really make sure that we're selecting people who are coming with the right criteria to begin with. All right. So don't vote for people who need that job. Now, I'm also not equally saying that we need all ultra rich people in government who are rolling in money, because what you find with those individuals, and I can point to a few of them, what their issue tends to be is the fact that they are more likely than not to be looking for power. And so you got to find the balance between power hungry people, right? And who they may be independently wealthy, but then you're going to have a whole other concern with them. The concern with them will have nothing to do with money, not on that level. And so that can be concerning as well. What motivates people to do the things that they do? That is a very, very important consideration when you are looking at candidates. And sometimes it is difficult to know exactly what motivates an individual. Yes? Some people are motivated because their entire lives, they never had anybody give them a pat on the back. So they just like doing good things for people. And that fills them, their little heart. It's like, what's the Grinch, when he started being nice, his little green heart, his little black heart, whatever color it was, started growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it was like full, because he realized that being nice and being good makes you feel good. And that's a good thing. And then there are other people who are motivated by greed, right? They're attention seekers in a really bad way. That's why they can't be team players. So if someone has a difficult time always being on a team, like they're the one person that resigns from the team, gets kicked off the team consistently over the years, right? You've got to start to ask yourself, why is that? That doesn't have anything to do with the team, Naida. This is where sometimes you guys are looking at this the wrong way. In fact, even with the PAC government, some of you are like, we can't have another independent government of independence. The issue wasn't that you had a government of independence. The issue was who you had in there. And that's what y'all need to consider. It doesn't make a difference if they're part of a party. You will soon see exactly how well that's going to work out for some of them. Kaboom! I'm going to give myself a kaboom on that one. It is the personalities that are wanting. If someone is vying for attention all the time, they're an attention, WH, ... fill in the blank. You know what I'm talking about, right? They can't live without it. You see it rearing its ugly head, right? Those are the people who are always trying to eclipse the order of operation. They know who the leader is, but they're going to be trying to throw and hold their own press conferences. Sometimes the people don't even know what they're doing. Oh, wow, he's having a press conference today? Well, he didn't tell me that. It's like they do all these things because they're trying to get the limelight on themselves. And that doesn't get you anywhere when you're part of a team that is supposed to be advancing the issues of a country that we care about. Tartarian says, can we move away from it being a popularity contest? Look at what popularity has got us into. We're losing on everything. But let me tell you something. Unfortunately, human beings being who they are, it is hard. It is very, very difficult, especially when it comes to the world of politics. All you have to do is look at the United States of America as a prime example of that. It is very difficult for you to say, look at someone's qualifications. How do you elect a clown as president of the United States of America? How is that even possible? We think that they're some of the most educated people in the world, and look at what they still have done. So unless we're willing to speak the truth and to have these conversations on, quite frankly, a regular and ongoing basis, nothing will ever change. If it is a job and you apply for a job and you're looking solely at the qualifications, because every job applicant is a Caymanian, yes? So that's not the point here. Where then do we go from there? That's the question. I'm begging you all to educate yourselves more. Ask the right questions. Some of you have began. Where is your manifesto? Let's look it through. What does your manifesto say? Be more discerning. It is easy for someone to jump up and say, oh yeah, I'm going to fix immigration problems, Caymanians first. They give you all these sound bites. What does that mean? Now we have people who are running for office a second time, and quite frankly, they have a track record that we need to look at. What did they do? Now we can argue that the government as a whole did not accomplish as much as we would have liked them to. Some of that we need to temper our understanding of how things get done in office. And I keep saying this to the government. I said it to the PAT government. Well, UPM, not so much so. But definitely the PAT government. I said, listen, you have got to ensure that the people of this country understands exactly what it is that you guys are doing. Because they can't just jump up and change the immigration laws overnight. They can't just jump up and give us a housing solution. Okay, they put a housing task force together. Why is it that for all of those years, we didn't know exactly, for number one, most of you didn't know that there was a housing task force put together, what their mandate was, what they were doing, none of that. That's because the elected arm of government does a horrible job, and that includes the PAT government, of communicating with the people. If you let us know what you're working on, I think most of us understand that none of this stuff is going to happen overnight. And it may take time to come up with solutions. And you may have to try a few. You might have to, do case analysis from what has worked in other jurisdictions, what has not worked, and then try to tweak it for the Caymanian people. We get that. But you guys sit back and we don't see the needle moving. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Right? And then what? When it comes election time, we're like, well, y'all didn't do nothing. We don't know what you're talking about. Housing task force? We never heard about no housing task force. Do a better job of communicating with your people. Thank you, Jean, for talking about this Auditor General's report. Those are the things that we, the voters, need to start reading and analyzing. We're going to look at hers and see where some major issues lie. Because if you don't understand that fiscal management and mismanagement is going to cost us a lot financially and even more. Because when you can't stay within your budget, and this includes giving civil servants pay raises and increases here, there, and everywhere, right? Just to vote, just to buy people's vote, because that's all it is. Yeah? And you're having all of this liability that isn't recorded, such as pension liability, the health insurance liability for civil servants. And they want you to believe that they've got the money to inject into these other areas when we actually do not. That's a problem. Because soon the reality of what's happening to us when it comes to fiscal mismanagement is going to really, really hit hard. Building $100 million school for 100 children, basically, is absolutely ridiculous. And Juliana O'Connor Conley should be ashamed of herself. for even suggesting such an outrageous project for Kim and Brack. That's why we call it a vanity project, because that is all about her leaving some kind of legacy behind, is what she thinks is gonna happen. And oh, one day they're gonna change the name or name a school hall after her, or whatever. The legacy is you are putting this entire country on the brink of being bankrupt, and that's gonna affect the Brackers as well, who are in a little bit more of a precarious situation than the rest of us. That's the reality that you're creating. And that's not right. My children shouldn't have to be indebted. I only have one. My child shouldn't have to be indebted from the second she's born to know that, she's not going to have certain opportunities if it was left up to the government, right? That because of overspending, there will be less programs available for children, for seniors, for indigents, and all of these things. You only supposed to spend what you have, and what you don't have, you cannot spend. We need to do better. All right, yesterday. So big applause. The only person that dropped out was Patricia Bryan. That was the right decision for her to make. Now, we had some newcomers who nobody knew anything about. The gentleman called in yesterday and he said, he changed his name because he was being falsely arrested. Listen, I don't know him from the man in the moon. I don't know anything about him. But what I do know is a number of you are saying that you don't know anything about what he said being falsely arrested. But some of you shared with me that he changed his name because he's actually spent time at Northwood for crimes. Is it the wrong person that was at Northwood? He's claiming they were mistaking him for somebody else. I'm like, I don't know. Now, someone said to me, well, he spent time at Northwood. How could he be running for a political office? Well, remember what the rules say. You could actually be a person who's been sent to Northwood 5 times and still run for political office. Let's be clear. As long as none of those sentences were for 12 months or more, you're not eliminated from running for political office. And as long as it was not for a dishonesty offense, if it wasn't for obtaining property by deception, theft, and so on, right? Then you're good. Now, obviously, the people certainly need to consider whether or not they want someone of the caliber of, a person who's been to jail a couple times. I mean, I don't know what he has allegedly been to jail for. Again, what are the qualifications for this job? Another surprising development yesterday, and this one was a little bit strange, and so I didn't post it till this morning because I was trying to fact check it because I was so taken aback. I thought at first it actually wasn't real. So there was a story floating around shortly after the polls closed that Donna Myrie, everybody knows Miss Donna in the community, was going to be running, and one of her persons to nominate her did not show up. I thought, no way. First of all, how are you gonna pick somebody to nominate you and they don't show up? Who is that person? I heard a certain Lana, good friend, didn't show up. I was like, say what now? That's weird. And so, I thought that's a bit unusual. Let me try to fact check it. And then poor Donna, I guess she needed a drink afterwards, honey child, because she went by the wharf, looking to feed the tarpons. And she did a picture of herself, beautiful. Donna's always beautiful, where she tagged herself and said, basically, when it's your time, it's your time. I thought, Lord Jesus, what kind of friend does not show up for you at a time like that? Not so sure they'd be my friend after that episode. But anyway, good attitude that if the timing ain't right, well, Your friends are probably what's not right, not necessarily the timing. But there she is. I saw this picture and I thought to myself, well, maybe she was just sitting there for another reason, right? Maybe there's some other explanation that we could get to. Let me see if I can hear the phone. I don't know what's going on with the phone this morning. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you today?
Morning, not bad. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm thankful.
Yes, very good.
So I'm listening to the talk show, and I want to address the issue, try to put some clarity to folks who don't know who I am.
Okay, well, first identify yourself because we still don't know who we're talking to.
Sandra, my name is Tyree Hernandez.
All right, so you're the young man that they're saying that you've been to jail a couple times.
Yes, ma'am. I've never, ever, and they can search the judicial system of the Cayman Islands, never been to prison.
Yeah. So this is why you say you've changed your name, because people are confusing you with somebody else who has been to prison.
Maybe they did. Maybe they are. But I just want to clarify that the reason why I changed my name is to avoid being called up for things that I am not involved in. I was a professional salesperson for Sharp Electronics for many years. I was very successful in it. Office Civilian Supplies Unlimited. If you guys go back in the day, you will remember those names. That's the company that I worked for. I've never been arrested for anything that I did on my own accord. It was for Richard Jackson, a Jamaican police, fair skin. This person's name is Marcia, works at Island Companies, jewelry stores. He's an engineer or an architect. I've never been to prison. My father was in Northwood for many years. But
does your father have a similar name to you?
No, he don't. My father's name is Arthur Albert Jackson.
Okay.
I've never been to Northwood. So for the public listening to all of this slander, I expect it to come back. I have never, I can assure you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Yes.
I have never, ever.
Yeah. And I mean, it is interesting, sir, that people continue to confuse you with this other person, as you say, because people seem to think that they know you and they're like, oh yeah, Richard Jackson, changed his name. So they're still confusing you, you say, with this other, you said he's a Jamaican guy?
He's Jamaican original.
Yeah.
That I was, and I know him. He's an architect. You guys know him very well. You probably know him yourself, Sandra. He's an architect, brown skin guy, big curls. He has a sister named Marcia. I only remember Marcia that Marcia worked in Island Companies, where I used to work as a sales rep many years ago as well.
Oh, Marcia is very, very tall?
Yes, her brother Richard, and he was verified that I changed his name. I changed my name, because of him.
Okay. I kind of think I know now that you're saying her brother. I'm trying to picture him actually. But I think I know which one you're talking about. But I guess there's probably multiple Richard Jacksons out there, and people, this is why maybe you should be careful when you name your kids, because you're getting them mixed up and stuff. So wow.
My mom and dad back in 1970 when I was born, they wouldn't have no idea about this sort of stuff about
Yeah. Wow, but you say that that's definitely not you.
Definitely not. I would be more than happy to go and get police records and all of that stuff, and from the court to prove that what they're saying is absolutely correct.
All right. So you've got a completely clean police record.
That's right. That's correct.
Wow.
No prison time. Tested 3 times for Jackson. But at the end of the day, when I got to the police station, the person that was the accuser asked me myself, what was I doing there? I was coming in my work clothes, and they're asking me, what are you doing here? And I'm saying, well, I'm Richard Jackson. They called me to the station, and I got arrested. And I'm saying, but I'm here for Richard Jackson, but it's not you. And I'm saying, well, could you please just verify that with the police officer so I can get back to me?
Wow.
So said, so done, and I was out of there. Never, ever been to prison.
All right, Mr. Tyrese, that's your new name.
Tyrese Hernandez.
All right. When did you change the name, by the way? How long ago
In the
was
year
that?
2000.
In the year 2000. Oh, so it's been a while.
Years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Sandra, I don't go anywhere. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a family person. I have 6 kids. I have 5 grandkids. And I try to live a Christian life. I try to show them the right way of life. Don't steal. Don't lie. Work hard for what you get. I try to instill good morals in my kids. I'm not.
Yes.
I attend church on a regular. I'm a baptized member of the Philadelphia Seventh-day Adventist Church. I've been a Seventh-day Adventist all of my life. And in saying that, I'm not going to tell anyone that I'm perfect, because we all do make mistakes and come short at times, but nothing to put me in the hands of the law.
All right, my dear. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
Sure, no problem, Sandra.
Yes.
You have a good day.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, so I'm glad that Mr. Tyrese called in and clarified that, because it seems like y'all confusing him. I mean, I don't know him, and I don't know the other Jackson. I was trying to have a quick look online to see if I could pick up the picture of that other guy. I kind of think I know who he's talking about, but actually more than one Richard Jackson did come up, so I'm not even sure now who is who and whatever, but what a mess. Yeah, I would have changed my name too if that was the case. I mean, yikes. All right. Well, Mr. Richard, you got a lot of campaigning to do, I guess, so that people know who you are and what you're all about in terms of solutions. Zoe said, but Sandy, your little pep talk about Hunter gave him the boost to pull through. Listen, not everybody listens to you. Not everybody will take heed. And the good thing about life is what I have learned is actually important for people. There's Miss Donna, by the way, posting that it's a beautiful evening to feed the tarpons. # when the time is right. Bless you, Miss Donna. You'll be fine. But girl, get yourself some new friends. Because if a friend can't show up for you at a time like that, they're not no friend. I'm just saying. What would Lana have been doing that was so important that she couldn't come to nominate you? Lord Jehovah. Anyway, listen, there's some people who will not heed advice no matter how good the advice is. And they just have to learn. That's okay. You know, Hunter's still young. What is he, 26, 27? He thinks he knows it all. And at the end of the day, time will tell. We've all been there. You think there was times that I didn't think I knew something? People were trying to tell me, no. I'm like, oh, I know. You just want to find out. And that's good. Because those are the lessons that you will remember the most. Hunter might not remember what I told him about this election, but one thing for sure is April the 30th, when he doesn't even get enough votes to get his money back, his $1,000, he got to remember that lesson. Especially if you really need the $1,000, because that's going to hurt. And that's okay. It's okay to learn life's lessons on your own. You know, I tell people, don't reinvent the wheel. It's already been invented. And so at the end of the day, let's learn from each other. We can learn from examples all over the world. But no, honey child, humans are stubborn. We think we got it all figured out. But when you don't have it all figured out, you're at that stage in your life where you still need to learn. And that's okay too. Okay? So it's all right. He'll be fine. Trust me when I tell you, he will be just fine. I know he can't come to me asking me for $1,000 after the election because he can't pay a bill or whatever, or he's going to have business number 10 fail. You know, he's going to have to go to family members who are going to ride with him no matter what he does. Miss Irma, you wanted to know how we could support Hunter. Well, he'll be needing a couple grand from you after the election in order to, get another business started. Y'all can help him. I'm not about that life. He is kind of old enough that he should know better. But anyway, that's all right. It is what it is. Listen, Tartarian said Lana probably did the right thing. Well, at least you tell your friends you're not showing up. Yeah, Tartarian, that can't be the right thing if your friend is sitting there at the table waiting for you. It might have been the right thing, but maybe you did it in the wrong way. I'm just saying. You don't leave people hanging like that under no circumstances. Listen, my aunt always taught me the only thing you really have in life is your word. Your word is your bond. Okay? And if you say you're going to do something, by golly, you better do it. And if you cannot do it, you can pick up a phone. You can send a text message. You can send a WhatsApp message. Something, honey child, to say, Mama, I know I told you I was coming to nominate you today, but, I had a dream last night and it ain't happening. Or I'm sitting at the bar having a few drinks. I can't make time for you. Something. That is embarrassing for someone to take a picture of poor Donna sitting there. Look here. Right? And the person, I don't know who that young lady is standing up to, she's probably texting Lana right then. Honey, where are you at? We're here waiting. What are you doing? And then the nominating people from the elections office, they look like they're having a good laugh, trying to keep her spirits up. Child, she probably had to go to the wharf to drown her sorrows for a few minutes in a glass of wine. That's not cool. You don't do that to people. Under no circumstances. I don't like that. That's not, nah. We can't excuse that kind of behavior. Speaking of what else we cannot excuse, McKeeva Bush at the Patty shop at Tortuga. Well, at least he wasn't drinking this time. I don't think he wasn't buying any liquor. He's buying patties. But he was up in there being rude to the people when they were asking him if he wanted frozen patties or cooked patties. Well, you think I can eat all them patties, Emma? McKeeva, what a hot mess you are. Anyway, there he was. Somebody did send me the pictures of him signing and he's running. There were all sorts of rumors circulating about whether or not he was going to run or what he was going to do, et cetera, et cetera. So there was also some confusion yesterday about Mr. Michael Miles, right? And so there was a question that came up about Michael, where was he yesterday? Now, this one is a bit peculiar for me because I've actually never heard of a candidate who wasn't here for nomination day. In fact, I didn't even know that you could do that. So I checked with the elections office and sure enough, in the law, it does allow you to not physically be present. You can actually just give someone your nomination forms, I guess make sure it's been signed and witnessed accordingly, and send them along with your $1,000 and they'll get it done for you. Wow, never knew that. You learn something new every day. So, good. What I will say is, despite that fact, I would have still have expected him to make every single accommodation in the world to be there. Now, there are people who were circulating information that he was sick, and that's why he wasn't there. I don't know where that information came from within CINP, but that is completely incorrect. In fact, he actually posted on his own page that he has prioritized spending time with his family. And so that's important. Now, let me tell y'all something. Family first, because you can't be out here trying to save this country if you cannot save your family first and foremost. And I know that he has a few children and there's all, mixed up stories about, some of the people want to claim on the campaign trail that he needs to be doing more for his other children. This, not, I'm not into the man business like that. I don't know anything like that about Michael, but I do admire, even if it's not a position he's always held, if his position now is, at this stage in my life, I'm going to be there for my family. I'm going to make that a priority. I'm going to support my family. I'm all about that life, except there's a big but coming. You got to plan your life properly. Now, what do I mean by that? I agree he should have been there yesterday. A lot of you looking at stuff, you're like, oh, but Sandy, this week the kids are out from school, this, that, and the next thing. He already had the vacation plan before. Stick a pin. You know that the first week of March for the last how many elections, because of how the election cycle now falls, is going to be nomination day, right? Remember what I said to you all? Look here. Stop worrying about what people think about you, except if you're a politician. It doesn't say that in the book, but I could write a book that says, start worrying about what people think about you, ... except if you're running for political office. Then you have to worry, because this is not a good look. People are saying, dude, you have to demonstrate before we're going to tick you, put an X next to your name, that you have what it takes to run for political office. And that means you show up. People, let me be very, very clear. This is a job. It's not a 9-to-5 job. It is a job that's going to require significant sacrifice from you. And that will mean you might be sacrificing your family time. You might be sacrificing time with the wife. And there's an expectation that you know what you're getting into. And that is why you're being paid handsomely to do so. If you're not ready for that, even myself, it's one of the considerations when people say, oh, run for office. I'm like, I have an 8-year-old child, right? There's a lot going on in her schedule that dictates what I can't and can't do. I ain't got time for that life right now. That is the decision that you have got to make. That's why the men who run for elected office have a much easier time of it than the women do, because they've got somebody at home to manage their household, drop the kids up and down and all over the place and all that good stuff. Women MPs have a much more difficult time, especially if they have children. But this is something that is known. You should foresee these things. You've got to plan your life accordingly. And so I understand the kids are out this week. This is maybe where you send the family off for the week. You show up on Monday for nomination day. You take an afternoon flight and then join them. I don't see the logistical explanation here, or the logical explanation, I should say, of how he didn't know when nomination day was. Good morning, caller.
Morning.
How are you?
Not bad. Him not being present doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you.
It doesn't bother me at that level because I'm not a voter in Prospect. But the Prospect voters are the ones who have said to me.
No, I know. I understand how people think about it. I'm just saying me personally. But what it does raise is, do we have the question of how does the scheduling for elections work? And it's not from one election to the other. It's from when the government, when the House first sits. And therein lies the problem as to how the timeline can change. And I don't believe it should change. I think it should be fixed. Mm-hmm. And so...
Let me ask you a question, Denny. I understand the point that you're getting to, and that's a fair point. If this was something that was planned so far in advance, why are his own party members having an issue with it? Why is the leadership of the CINP upset with him over this? I mean, if he really had it planned way in advance.
It reflects on them. Yeah, okay. It reflects on them. Yeah. No, I understand that how people think about it. Okay. I'm just saying me, like it wouldn't be a real deal breaker for me personally, because I understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, I understand why people feel the way they do. I understand why the party leader is upset. Mm-hmm. I get all of that. That's going to reflect on them for sure. Mm-hmm. But the only way to bring more certainty to how a system works is to not have something where the timeline changes. So they start measuring from when the House first meets. So it depends on how quickly you can form a government and start meeting in the House that dictates when the next election will occur. That's so what'll happen, right, is that when elections happen, will actually can be moved forward a couple of days each time until elections end up at different times of the year. Now, that'll take a while to happen because elections only happen every 4 years. But the point is that it will keep changing. And to avoid that, you need to have a fixed period where you say, look, after election day, you have X number of days to form a government, ready or not. So get your act together long before you get to that point so that you don't have a crisis. And then you will have more certainty about when elections occur. Yeah. But the other thing is that yesterday you mentioned on the air about making when declarations of interest had to be made for candidates. And my understanding of that has been that that it's not prior to a nomination day when the interest has to be submitted. It is prior to being nominated, and that could include being on the same day. And I just wanted to clear that just for the public so that there's no confusion.
All right. Thanks very much, Denny.
All right. Take care. Bye.
I appreciate it. Good morning, caller.
Hi. Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Kenan. How are you guys doing?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. Great. I just want to follow up on that comment. I'm listening to Denny just now, and of course, this whole situation with Mr. Miles. And as a voter, definitely, I feel one should be present on the day of nomination for your people to have that opportunity to come to see and to witness. Because if it was a case where, you know, the doors were closed and only you and your people can go inside, then that's different. But it's an open house. So I think it gives you that opportunity. And seeing that how many times now, this is his second or third time running, where, you know, he hasn't been successful in the past. This is your opportunity to come out now and meet and greet your people. But going back to what Denny said regarding everything being fixed, I've said it before over the past 20 years. I think it is, yes, and I'll continue to say it. In 2004, when Ivan hit us in September 2004, our elections were set and has always ran every 4 years in November. And of course, there was an extension by the then government, which was the PPM government, by 6 months because of the country being devastated by Ivan. And that was understandable. But since then, my question would be to any government, what really do you accomplish between November and May or April or whenever you decide to play flip-flop, whenever you want to have the elections? It needs to be fixed where it needs, because it's nothing in law to say now that it's mandated to be, you know, April, May, whatever. It needs to go back to November. We need to go back to where it was normal. And then it definitely, because it was fixed then, you know, people can plan their lives and go back to where it was. And because with this extra 6 months, really and truly, what are they accomplishing for the country in the extra 6 months? Or what are they accomplishing or setting up for themselves in those extra 6 months would be a question to be answered. Thank you and have a great day.
Thanks very much. And to be clear, Denny's point isn't really about when you have it. So it can be November or, you know, April or May or whatever. That's not the point. The point is what he's saying is the nomination day itself should be a fixed day every single election cycle. But because it is dependent on something else, it's triggered from when Parliament is prorogued. And as you can see, even this last electoral cycle, they were running right up until, you know, having all these 12, 15-hour days because they were trying to push so much through the UPM government at the at the last minute that it was, they were trying to run it, and it was getting very, very close to election time. And I know, in fact, that some people who were part of the UPM government were saying they didn't like it because it was interfering with their ability to start off a little bit earlier with the whole election cycle and stuff as well. So, yeah. Point taken for both of those callers, but I just wanted to clarify that they were technically talking about a couple different things. All right, 936-2626. Of course, the phone lines are indeed open. So our poll questions that we had previously, I just want to clarify that those have now closed off. And what we will be doing now is we're going to be setting up new poll questions. And the new poll questions will be exactly who you will be voting for in the election. So give us another day or so, and we're going to have those up for all of the different constituencies. Some of you are asking for, hold on one second. Some of you are asking for the final list, and we do have it here. Let me just have a quick look. My team was following it very, very closely yesterday, and so we put the final list together. A few people, again, popped up that we had no idea who these individuals are. They were sort of last minute, but let's just go through the final list of people who are running for elected office in the country. All right, so here we go. Let me do a little screen share so you can see our document here. I think the point is, again, going back to, appearances matter for MPs. That is very, very true. And so at the end of the day, even how you handle it, notifying people in advance, there was no notification, as far as I know, that he wasn't going to show up. That took people quite by surprise that he wasn't there yesterday. And so even the party seemed to have gotten a little bit of late notice. And that's where I'm like, how far in advance did he have this vacation planned? Because the party only started talking about it a couple of days ago. So they were only notified a couple of days ago. So once again, organization matters. Getting organized matters. All right, so let's look here. Increase the size so everybody can see it. Some only have 2 people running. So this is the final numbers. Also with the electoral size. Big shout out to my CMR team who helps with these sort of things and put these things together for me. I don't do it all, and I'm so appreciative for the ones who are working quietly behind the scenes. West Bay Central has a total of 1,213 voters, and that now is going to be decided between Catherine Ebanks-Wilkes, who's with the TCCP, and Ms. Jewel Hides, who's an independent. West Bay North has 1,323 registered voters. We have 5 people running in that race. Michael LeMay was the last minute one. Although Michael did call in on the show one day and indicated that he would be running, we didn't really hear anything else from him, so I wasn't quite sure. But yes, so we've got Ralston Anglin, independent, Jordan Rivers, CINP, Jermaine Ebanks, Hurlston, independent, Shakina Bush, who came out over the weekend, that's Bernie Bush's daughter, independent, Michael LeMay, independent. So 5, I think, is the most for any of the constituencies, East End, West Bay North, and I think one of the Georgetown constituencies may have 5 as well. And Cayman Brac. So we came shy. The record for the highest number of people running in any election was back in 2017 at 61. We are at, hold on, is it 60 or 59? So we came close to breaking the record, but believe it or not, the record has not been broken. So let me just see here now. So back in 2017, we had 61 people running, 50 in 2021, and then this year it's 59. So we're shy by 2. We had 2 more. Listen, if Donna Myrie had gotten in and one other person had made it, we would have at least matched it if Donna and Patricia had both ran. So, and this is, listen, having 60-something people for such a small island, excuse me, It's really nothing to celebrate, I don't think. Ideally, these people need to have a feel beforehand of who's the top two people and let them hash it out. So West Bay Central is going to be a good, interesting race. West Bay South, 1,585 people, a little bit more than the others. We've got Andre Martin Ebanks with TCCP and Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, independent candidate, former host over at Radio Cayman. He has since retired from his hosting gig. West Bay West also coming down to two people with 1,292 voters. We have Ms. Julie Joy Teresa Hunter with the Cayman Islands National Party and McKeeva Bush running as independent. Now, I don't think McKeeva Bush is an independent. I think he's actually low-key working with the PPM and they would take him back. This is just my personal opinion of what I know that's happening behind the scenes. And I think Mr. Bush is so controversial that nobody is willing to admit that they want Mr. Bush until April the 30th, when the numbers come in. And they all gonna go behind the sneaky door links and sit down with their little turtle meat. And then all of a sudden, McKeeva and Chris Saunders, if they both got in, would be players. I stress, and I want to stress it again. Let's go back to looking at our poll about whether or not Mr. McKeeva Bush should retire. The vast majority of you, something like 85% of you, have said that he should retire. And I think that, that's obviously a national position. Whether or not the people in his constituency feel that strongly, I think a good portion of them do think that he should retire. However, Bush he's not going to retire. He's one of those people that's going to die in political office. So it's 84.48% of you have said that he should retire. All right. The only way that you neutralize someone like a McKeeva Bush is to vote him out of office. And, I had someone message me yesterday and they said, well, I don't know, but I want a better option than Julie Hunter and McKeeva Bush. Well, those are the two options that you have. And I said to them, well, what is your issue, to try to understand precisely where they were coming from? I said, well, what are your concerns and your issues with Miss Julie? Like, why do you think she's not a better option than McKeeva Bush? Because listen, my left foot would be a better option than McKeeva Bush at this stage. So I was trying to understand what this person was saying. They said, well, she came to me and it was all this Christian stuff and preaching. She sounds like another Juliana O'Connor Connolly. And that kind of turned them off. They were not really feeling that vibe and they were not interested in that. They want candidates not to lead with the Bible and with a church verse, but they want candidates to lead with solutions for this country. Okay. I agree with that. Obviously everybody's different. Some people are more about their faith. And so, that's who they are. But really, we want people who are solution driven. So they're the results as of just now. This poll, if you haven't voted yet, I'll send the link, but please do so because this poll closes in about 2 days. It's fair to say that most people think it's time for Mac to go. He seems hell-bent on not going, not by his own choice in any event. So you voters, when you go to the polls, you can make that happen. Okay? That's entirely a matter for you. I don't know what the difficulty is. You got to just look at the man's track record and you look at his history. And I challenge anyone to tell me in the past 20 years, maybe earlier in his career, you can talk about some of the things that he did with tourism, this, that, and the next thing. But I want to talk about recent history. And the last 20 years, tell me exactly what he has done that would make you want to go and put an X next to his name. It simply does not make any sense. So that's how you neutralize him. You neutralize him by simply removing him from public office. It is what it is. Simple. Georgetown Central, 1,357 voters. We've got Carmen Tessa Macfield with the CINP, Anthony Anti Ramon with TCCP, Kenneth Vernon Bryan with PPM. Georgetown East. And for the record, this is the first time he's running as a PPM candidate. The very first time he ran, was he with PPM at the time? I guess so. That was before we had one man, one vote. Georgetown, that was like 10 years ago, over 10 years ago now, I guess. Well, no, because they fired him 10 years ago in 2015. And then he ran in 2017 as an independent. Yeah, I don't think he's ever run with the PPM. He used to be with the PPM, but I don't think he actually ever ran with them. So this is the first time. I believe that's correct. Georgetown East, 1,451. We've got Roy McTaggart, PPM, Emily M. Cecilia Ann Duku, TCCP, Oscar Rogelio Bodden. I have no idea who Oscar Bodden is. Independent, and Vassal Bud Johnson Jr., CINP. Georgetown North. So this is one of the surprises that came in, a late comer yesterday. Miss Amelia Welcome threw her name in. 1,320 voters. Joseph Joey Hugh with the PPM and Amelia Welcome as an independent. Now, this is interesting. And I'm not so sure what to make of this, except to say anything is possible. You only need to win by one vote. And so Mr. Amelia might appear to be the underdog here, but, you know, she also been around the block a few times, and there might be a lot of people who might want to throw their vote to her. I don't really know. So, this is going to be interesting. Wow. I'm looking forward to that race to just see how it flushes out. Yes, sir. I tell you. All right. We've got Georgetown South, 1,324 voters. We have Craig Festa. I think they forgot the A on that. They put Fest. We'll fix that. It's Craig Festa Frederick, PPM. Gary Peanut Ruddy, CINP. It's funny how they put in the people's only in Cayman, where they put their what do you call it now? Their monikers or whatever. Their nickname, sorry. Because I can't think of anywhere else that's actually done. So that's kind of interesting. All right. Let me see here. All right. So Alric Lindsay, independent. Georgetown West, 1,262 voters. We've got Craig T. Marin, CINP. Perlina L. McGaw Lumsden, PPM. Hunter J. Walton, independent. And Tyree Malcolm Hernandez, independent. Prospect has 1,329 voters. Sabrina Teresa Turner, TCCP. Michael Miles, CINP. Crystal Gomez Wilson, PPM. Red Bay, 1,348. So this is another one that has 5 people running. We've got Philip Ebanks, independent. Leon Gold, independent. Roy Tatum, PPM. Natasha Melrose Whitelock, TCCP. Don Thomas, CINP. Boddentown East. Wow, big constituency, actually. 1,666. Good old Dwayne Seymour is going to be reading into that now when he talks about, oh, Lord, when he talks about that 666, no doubt. I can hear a joke now coming that we will not understand. We've got Dwayne John Seymour with PPM, Robert Bodden with TCCP. Then we've got Boddentown West with 1,610 with Christopher Saunders, independent, Heyman Rankin, CINP, and Osborne Ozzy Bodden, TCCP. Newlands, 1,518 with G. Wayne Panton, TCCP. Raul Gonzalez Jr., independent. Alva Saku, I think we got Alva's name wrong. This was BK. PPM. And then we've got Savannah, 1,483 voters. Heather Diane Bodden, TCCP. Donna Bush, PPM. Northside, 936 with Johanny J. Ebanks, independent. Justin Craig Ebanks, PPM. Are they cousins or something? Probably. East End, 763 being split 5 ways, honey child. Lord have mercy. This is going to be one mix-up of a voting system for East End. Delmira Bodden at PPM, Isaac D. Rankin, Independent, Jiva. I don't know, is it, but the fact that they have Jiva in there, is it because the other one is pronounced differently? I mean, if you were a Spanish speaking person, you would probably pronounce this as Gueva, but I'm guessing she doesn't really have any Spanish connections. So Jiva, because then they have Jiva, M. Richards, CINP, John B. McLean Jr., Independent, Roydell Carter, Independent. Can somebody do the math? Divide 5 by 763. Y'all splitting the vote. Then Cameron Brack, none no better. Cameron Brack East, 472 voters, and that's going to be split potentially 5 ways. I'm telling y'all, this will ensure that Julie can get back in. Layman Daniel Scott, CINP. Juliana Yvonne Connolly, PPM. Maxine Avon, or is it, I guess it's Avon. McCoy Moore, Independent. Ruth Ann Bodden, Independent. And James Albert Christian, Independent. Cayman Brack West and Little Cayman, 577 voters. We got Nicholas DaCosta, CINP, and Lonnie Lee Tibbetts, Independent. And then here's the affiliation breakdown. TCCP has 10 candidates. PPM has 13. Cayman National Party has 12. And there are 24 independents. Wow. Interesting. So you could have the same thing that happened last time happening all over again, because you still have a lot of independents in the mix. Say even half the independents got elected, that's still 12. So Lord Jesus, we're going to see how it can go. Yes, sir. Okay. Those are the final people. Oh, my apologies. I didn't put it back up for you guys. I'll just scroll back so you can see all the names. All right. So those are the final people, folks, who made it to nomination day, paid their money, and on the face of it, met all of the requirements. I don't see anybody being challenged. As far as I know, they should all be good because most of them have ran before, or they don't have any other issues that would be prohibiting them, such as, convictions for theft or anything like that, for obtaining property by deception. Right. So where do we go from here? Well, we start to look at the individual candidates. That's what our job will be on this show. They'll be coming on the show, and you guys have seen some of them already. And we're going to talk about, their resumes. If you're a candidate and you want us to give you a fair shot in terms of who you are and whatever, you can feel free to send in your resume. The email address is tips@caymanmallroad.com. Send us your CV, and we're happy to dig into your CV and see why you think you're qualified for public office. We're going to juxtapose that against the list that we've already created in terms of what it is that we are actually looking for. Who will win in Boddentown East? Which one is East again? Oh, Dwayne John Seymour and Robert Bodden. Well, it's only the two of them going head to head, so we'll see. It's absolutely ridiculous that so many people, in my opinion, are actually just splitting the vote, especially for a lot of the smaller constituencies. It really does not make any sense. But the people will ultimately have their say. So we're going to put up the polls. So, make sure that you continue. We're going to redo the polls with fresh questions now. And the question will be, who are you going to vote for? So if you did 472 by 5, just say you divided it equally, that's 94 votes per person. So someone could technically win East End with 95 votes. Is that not crazy? What the hell? That's just an equal division. And I'm just saying one more than that. And of course, it won't be an equal division. People will get more than others, but that's crazy. That's Cayman Brack East that I'm talking about. 472 people, and you got 5 people running. Miss Maxine, what do we have to do to ensure in the next election you do not run? Let me know, and I'll see what I can do, because we got 4 years now to work on it. I can't wait to see all the ship jumping, says Femi. Lucky Body says, once Andre becomes premier, I'm all good. Ay. Tartarian says, well, let the candidates know how you feel. If you don't like what they're doing, what they're coming with, stop beating around the bush. Be brave and tell them to their face nicely, of course. Well, nicely is in the eyes of the beholder. For example, Chris Saunders, not for nothing, but am I the only person who noticed yesterday that his two nominating people were both family members, his wife and his mom? You mean he couldn't get anybody else in the community that he's running in to even sit there and nominate him? That says a lot, son. I think you are honestly done for. Boddentown West. Same thing with his campaign. He doesn't have anybody else working on his campaign but family. Okay. What a hot mess. Debates. Thank you, YouTuber. Let's talk about the chamber debates now because we're coming up hot and heavy. Give me 1 second, honey child. And of course, we are going to be in the thick of it. First and foremost, we were the only ones yesterday live streaming throughout the entire day. In fact, our show, give me 1 second, was 7 hours. I know some of y'all didn't listen, obviously, the whole time. 7 hours, 30 minutes or something. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll tell you guys. It was a long day, but we went straight up until 3 o'clock, starting at 7:30 and after the polls closed. And thank you guys, because some of y'all stuck with me all day long. Good morning, caller.
Morning again. What you were just talking about, the possibility of having, a mix up again. And one person said that as long as Andre is premier, that person's good.
I was going to address it, but I'll let you.
I want to emphasize
Yeah.
It's not the premier you need to be worried about.
That's right.
The decisions are made by cabinet.
Exactly.
It means it's the majority of the members who are ministers and the backbench the government's backbench supporters. So those who make up the majority, they're the ones who make the policy. The premier is the spokesperson. Compared to the majority, the premier is a minority. And it's the majority that makes the policy decisions. So don't look at the premier. Ask yourself, who else are you going to put there with the person you want to be premier before you cast your vote?
Yes.
Because the quality of that person is the person that is what will decide the policy.
Yeah. Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it. For sure. So yesterday we went for 7 hours, 32 minutes, and 51 seconds. Honey chill. All right. And Denny's point is well taken. Like I said, when I read that comment, I was like, ooh, we need to have a deep dive into that. But I'm glad that Denny took it. Thank you, One Love 365. YouTuber says Chris doesn't trust the people, yet the people should trust him. Narcissistic, short, expletive. I had to look at the time. I'm like, can I say that word? Not yet. Yes, it is interesting, YouTuber. What he's doing now speaks volumes, and quite frankly, what he's always done. It's just that we weren't paying as much attention, speaks volumes to see exactly who he is and what he's all about. That channel, yes, says it would be interesting to see how many people already know who they want to vote for and who are still opening and listening to candidates, etc. So we're going to put up a poll, and that's a good question, because what we will do, that channel, is I want to poll people now, but I know we still got little less than 2 months, and you may change your mind. Human beings are open to changing their minds. So you're sitting here thinking, yes, I know who I'm going to vote for, but in a month's time, that might be different. Okay. So we're going to do a poll now. And then as we get closer to April the 30th, we're going to redo the polls, same poll question, who are you going to vote for, basically, and see how that flushes out, okay? If it changes. Because I too, like that channel, yes, I'm curious to know if some of you remain undecided. Now, the poll question that's up now that I'd like for you to make sure you vote in, we have 639 people over here. And then how many people on Instagram? IG got 40 people. So somebody do quick math for me. What's 639 plus 40? That's what, not quite 680, one less than, it would be 679. All right. Have you guys tried to explain math to an 8-year-old? Oh, Lord, sometimes it's so hard. I be telling her, my girl, just stay in school. One day it'll start to come together and make logical sense. Like if you try to say to her, just go up to 680, because one less than that, then you do. She's like, huh? She's not there yet. She'll get there. All right. So 679 people. This is your poll question. And your poll question is, who is your preferred party? Participate, please, by scanning the QR code. If you don't have access to, and it's easy to scan a QR code. If you don't have access, though, to a camera and a phone, you can go to strawpoll.com/KY parties and vote with that URL as well. Let me put the URL for ease of reference in the comment section. I want as many of you to vote as possible because there is one particular party who I know what they're doing, and they're just getting a lot of people to vote, which is fine. I mean, I guess that means at least they can galvanize people to vote in these polls. I don't know how much they can galvanize them to vote at the regular polls, but anyway, they can galvanize people to vote there. And so let's make this, as honest as possible. Please go and vote. Now, I can see where you guys are voting from in terms of country. I obviously can't see anything beyond that, but keep it clean. Some Caymanians are overseas, and that's fine if you are a Caymanian and you want to vote in this poll. All right. So, so far, the Caymanian Community Party is taking the lead, followed by the Cayman Islands National Party, and then the Progressives. Do I think this accurately reflects what's happening? I think the order is accurate, and the percentage is probably a little bit skewed because it's like 45.54%, 43%, and then 11%. I do believe, as this poll reflects, that the people who support the PPM at this stage are only their hardcore supporters and those who wanted a free meal on Saturday at the Kimpton. And they showed up for that free meal. And even some of those people will now go to the polls and vote for somebody else. My ears are to the ground, and I'm listening very, very carefully to what the people are saying. And if you're a PPM candidate, for you, that means that you have a whole lot of extra work to do right now. You should be extremely concerned about your ability to get elected. Some of y'all like, oh, I'm a shoe in because I'm running for the PPM. They balling, they got money. They're at the Kimpton for their conference. Big rollers, honey child, big rollers. You sit there. Not if you know what I know. Mm-hmm. One person says, if you have an idea who you're going to vote for, do you go to listen to the competitors, then make an educated decision? Well, I think everybody should be making an educated decision. Like even your decision to vote for the person that you think you want to vote for. Why is that? We're going to get there. Someone said, good morning. I made the same observation about Saunders nominators and was told it's his wife and mother every election. Yeah, because he's always been showing us who he was. It's just that we now need to pay attention to that. Okay. Touche. All righty. So the chamber will be hosting candidates forums, and those are coming up. Now, what they're going to do a little bit differently, because for the first time, we actually have 3 parties, like solid parties that are, involved in an election. They're actually going to have a debate between the party leaders. So this will be interesting, no doubt. And I like it. I like that idea. I think that that's good because, the leaders might have some impact on, in fact, I think the leaders will have a lot of impact perhaps on how you even view their decisions and who they're selecting to run with them. And I hear people saying this all the time. People say, oh, I like, for example, Andre as a leader, and he's making really good decisions with, his candidates for the team. So leadership matters, and who that person is selecting, I think, also matters. And it certainly shows a lot about who they are. PPM seemed to have been, my apologies, a little bit desperate, scraping a little bit towards the end, at the bottom of the barrel, and selecting people that you're like, they're just throwing numbers in. And, that probably isn't going to, at the end of the day, work out too well for them. So, it is what it is. Let me see. All right. So the candidate forums with the chamber, this has been going on for quite some time. They're going to begin on March the 13th. So that is, what is that, next week? That is next week, Thursday. So we will stream them live in the evenings when they occur. They start at 7 p.m. So we will schedule them. We'll stream them at 7 p.m. They're going to start out East End on Thursday, North Side on Friday. Monday will be Prospect. Then they move to Savannah on the Tuesday, Newlands, Red Bay, Bordentown East, Bordentown West, Cayman Brac on March the 25th, Cayman Brac East, Cayman Brac West, and Little Cayman the following day on the Wednesday. Then they go on to West Bay Central, West Bay North, West Bay West, West Bay South, Georgetown North, Georgetown Central, Georgetown South, Georgetown West, Georgetown East. And then on April the 9th, Wednesday, April the 9th, they're going to end with a party leader debate. Okay, so they're going to have time to respond. They will be timed. There's a moderated questions, and they say that they will also allow engagement with constituents on key local and national issues. So it's a new debate style forum for party leaders, which will provide a dynamic setting for discussing critical national policies and governance priorities. And the format for that debate was supposed to be announced at the end of February, but let me just message the chamber because I don't think that has been done as yet. So allow me to get some clarification from that. And in fact, what I think I will do is reach out to Mr. Will Panu and perhaps arrange an interview with him on this. All right. So we're in the thick of it. CMR is here for you. Listen, on the talk show, let me be very, very clear. This is a talk show. It's an opinion-based show. Everybody's got an opinion, just like every one of you have, parts. And so, that's fine. That's great. But my greatest goal here is not even to share my opinion with you guys, which I do, but the greatest goal here is to get you to think for yourself. You've got to be educated. You've got to know what you will do when you go to the polls, right? That's a personal thing. When I go to the polls, I'm going into that box and I only get to put my X next to one person. And I want to put it next to who I think is the person that will do the best job for and on behalf of the people of the Cayman Islands. And there's a lot of things that will work in my mind about who and why I think that person, this one is the right one versus somebody else. Okay. And so I think that's very, very important for everyone to go in there and make informed decisions. I don't want anything from MPs except as a Caymanian. I want opportunities in my own country. I don't want them to be putting in unnecessary roadblocks. I don't like over government government being overly hands-on. I don't like government interference, but I do know that we operate in a community that requires some rules and some regulations. And so there is a degree of that is necessary. It's about balance for me. All right. And yeah, I mean, that's it. Every day I get up and I'm so incredibly thankful that God has given me a lot of opportunities. I've had my licks and it's taken a lot for me to get where I am now. But those licks were necessary. They are character building licks that we get sometimes in life, and that's fine. But here we are, so I'm thankful that I live a life where I don't have to go and really ask people for much of anything. The only thing I need is health and strength. And that's why I'm doing what I can in terms of that for myself, to help myself. And then, I hit the ground running every single morning I get up. There's some Sundays I get up and I'm like, oh God, do I really have to do any work today? But I know paperwork has to be done. That's part of what's required of me to keep myself organized and whatever. Anyway, my brain is starting to digress. All right, folks, tomorrow is a public holiday. It is Ash Wednesday. Although we haven't heard much about they didn't even come on to the show. Although we haven't heard anything about the agriculture show, I guess it's on. I will not be there, but I wish those of you who go out have a safe time at the agriculture show. Please enjoy yourselves. Remember, if you're going for plants, you got to get there early, honey child, because those plants go like hotcakes. So go out, be safe, enjoy yourself. Y'all know the deal already. It's a lot of traffic. So, don't get all upset. The RCIPS, no doubt, will be there trying to help with the flow of traffic, et cetera, et cetera. I don't even think they sent me a media pack this year. Normally they send a little media pack with like preferred parking and whatever. I don't know who's helping, but I'm not getting none of that, child. But it's okay because I won't be there anyway. But do enjoy yourselves, and we'll be back on Thursday morning. Okay. So until then, I got to end the show early not early, but on time today, because I do have stuff to do. So beautiful, beautiful. Good. Here's something to note. They fixed Juliana's name on the elections list. So I don't know why they had her Juliana. What was it before? Juliana Yvonne Connolly. So now they've changed it back. So we were wondering, because it was very bizarre. And I asked the question too of the elections list people. I was like, why the name change? Okay. Anywho. All right, so it is what it is. Okay, good to go. All right, so they have fixed her name. It's the same double barrel name that she has always had. Because I said to them, has she legally changed her name? Like, seriously? All right, Tartarian says, CMR, can you host a general segment on how government works? We're making decisions and many of us don't know how government works. Maybe call on Dr. Steve Macfield. All right. We got a lot of experts, I think, that can help in relation to that. So Tartarian, that's no problem. I will put a show together for that. I also had another request to talk about the prices of groceries on Cayman Brac. So this is something that hopefully we can work in, probably maybe an episode next week, because pretty much Thursday and Friday when we come back this week, we are booked out again. But yes, it's okay. All right. That's all she wrote, folks. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Tartarian, I've made a note of it. Not a problem. Sandcastles says nomination day was a bit concerning. Appears anyone can be a nominator and anyone can be nominated. Shaking my head. Such process needs to be reviewed and revised. Lord have mercy. Well, there are perimeters, Sandcastle. For example, the people who are nominators, the only real requirement for them, as I can see, is they need to actually live in the respective constituency. So if you're nominating someone in Prospect, you have to be a Prospect resident, and I'm assuming a registered voter, but let me confirm that. I don't know if that's correct, or if you just have to live there. Let me confirm that. That is interesting. But yes, I mean, that is a perimeter. I don't know what else you want from a nominator necessarily. Lucky Body says, I'm curious, how do you organize your time? Me? Oh, Lord Jesus. I got more organizers than I know how to count. That's how I organize my time. Honey Child, I use manual organizers. I got electronic organizers. I got my phone. I have added an additional layer in my home. So now I have a wall electronic, a big one, 32 inches organizer, where other people can see in my household what my calendar events are looking like, because you know, my life does get a little bit crazy. And so sometimes I need, like Miss Stacy, to know where I'm going, what I'm doing, and so forth, and when I might be needing additional help from her. Hubby needs to know, you know, what meetings I've got, because right now, political season, my job requires me to go out there and cover like a lot of meetings and stuff. And so traditionally in the evenings when I would be home and, you know, getting people fed and get your bath and get to bed and all this good stuff, I don't have that luxury at the moment. So, you know, yeah, I have that organizer on the wall where everybody can see it. It's actually a really cool device, I must tell you. And so it does help to keep everyone aware of what my schedule is. And I can sync it with my phone. It's got like Google Sync and all kind of really cool stuff. To-do list, grocery list, we can put it all in there. Remind me one day to show you that organizer. So, yep, my stuff shows up on there and it's fantastic. All right, somebody calling me from 947 number. Who does be? Good morning. Oh, I'm still wrapping up on this show. Let me call you back. All right. No, but that doesn't, no, that doesn't help her. I'll call you back. All right, let me call you back. No. That's not right. Okay. No. I'll call you back. I'll call you back. Here it is. This is a little organizer. Calendar, to-do list, all sorts of stuff. It's pretty cool. Anyway, listen. One of the things, Lucky Body, that requires a lot of my time is fielding phone calls. I feel like my phone is the hotline bling. Is that what they call it? Everybody be calling me Honey Child, and I get questions and everything. Miss Stacy can testify to this. When Miss Stacy first started working for me, she's like, your line is busier than the premier of the country. People call me for everything under the sun. And I guess I'm honored that people think I know everything. I don't know everything. But normally I try to point them in the right direction. Like, this is how you find out stuff. So I field a lot of questions like this morning. Why does the hospital have mosquitoes in it? When you go first in the morning, mosquitoes biting people up. Okay. I got a picture of the mosquitoes and I got the question and I'm like, okay, I will find out. All right. You know, I get all sorts of questions. Whew. What a hot mess. So it is what it is. What can I say? You know, I try my best. I try to answer your questions. I try to, you know, I did send this to the HSA and they sent a picture of the mosquito. Damn, I must say that's a big looking mosquito. Not a word of lie, but that mosquito looked like that probably carrying some kind of disease. He's so fat. Lord have mercy. So anyway, I have passed that along. A lot of times, and I give people the benefit of the doubt. You know, you guys complain a lot about different agencies and whatever. I give them ample opportunity to fix their stuff. Like, I don't think everything needs to be calling them out on CMR. I know y'all love that, but still, I give them an opportunity to fix it. But look at the size of that mosquito up there. He looked big, not true? Yes, sir. anyhow, they said that they will address it. And I trust Miss Lizette. She does a wonderful job over there at the HSA. And I know that she'll get it done. So get some kind of mosquito zapper or spray or something. Because, yeah, those are disease carrying AG, what do they call them? What the hell do they call again? Something, what is the mosquito borne? Hold on. AG something. What the heck are they called again? Mosquito. Hold on. The Aedes aegypti mosquito. That's the one that carries a lot of diseases. That's the one. There's quite a few different types of mosquitoes, but the Aedes aegypti mosquito is the one that carries a lot of tropical and subtropical diseases that we are very, very concerned about, including Zika, chikungunya, and malaria and all kind of stuff. All right. Speaking of malaria, measles. There's an outbreak of measles in the United States of America. So if you're going to the US of A, please make sure that you are vaccinated. At least one person has already died from this latest outbreak. And quite interestingly enough, Robert F. Kennedy, now listen to this madness, who, is one of the anti-vaxxers. And he was always talking about, oh, don't get a vaccine. They're trying to kill you. They're trying to do mind control. Whatever. Now they're scared to death of measles killing more people and taking over the United States of America. So look at what he went and did. Somebody needs to fact check this because I haven't fact checked it, but I have no reason to not believe this one. He actually wrote a piece that was published about measles outbreak as call to action for all of us. MMR vaccine is crucial to avoiding potentially deadly disease. What the hell? Boy, when a disease coming for you, all of a sudden y'all seem to find your good senses and you're trying to rely on medicine all over again. Son, we can just pray for you. Oh my God. What a hot mess. All right, I gotta go. I got things to do. Y'all have a pleasant day, and I will see you all on Thursday morning. Be safe, folks. No drinking and driving. Be good to each other, and we'll see you Thursday morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.